Namaste, everyone. The light and love of the divine in me honors and greets the light and the love of the divine in each and every one of you here this morning. Thank you for joining us for yet another Sunday morning on Zoom. We Zoom through these. We're having a delightful time, enjoying this, and also knowing that eventually we will be back looking at our beautiful Atascadero Lake when the time is right. So we're grateful for this opportunity to come together, to be together, to be in community, in this incredible community. And you are that. You understand that, right? That you are the community, and it is your energy, it is your light, it is your love, it is your commitment and your dedication to Awakening Ways that keeps everything going. So thank you for being here this morning. Awakening Ways is a New Thought spiritual community in the lineage of Dr. Ernest Holmes. And you know, we do this every week, where we just give a little brief thumbnail sketch of what we're all about. But really, when it all shakes down, basically what we know is there's only one. There's only one of us. There is God and only God, and we are that in expression. And so everything that we do in this community is geared toward that demonstration and manifestation in the life of each and every person. A conscious awareness. You know, our little slogan here is living the consciously awakened life. We can be awake, but are we consciously awake? Do we know that we're awake? Okay. So this community is all about moving us into that greater knowing, that understanding, that acceptance, and that living from the awareness that there is only one of us, that divine presence, whatever we call it, is in us and as us and expressing through us and expressing through, in, and as all things. And if we need help remembering that, if we need reminders of the truth of that for ourselves, then that's why we come together on Sundays. That's why we have classes. That's why we have meditations. That's why we offer prayer on a regular basis, because we know the power of prayer has the ability to change our consciousness, to literally change our lives, to lift us, to heal us, and to bless us. And so we are all about that too, aren't we? So I'm so grateful that you're here, and whatever it is that brought you here this morning, and wherever it is when this little time together is over, for right now, for this perfect moment in time, welcome home. We've been waiting for you. Thank you for being here. We have a wonderful, sorry, I have to bend down and pick up something. Excuse me. Dr. Frank is our speaker this morning, we're so looking forward to hearing what he has to say. We have music lined up, and so it's going to be a wonderful morning as always. But before we begin, I'd just like to move us into a place of stillness and meditation and begin with a little invocation. And I'm going to start with a quote from Ernest Holmes. And he says, "All nature shows a divine relatedness. I have but to contemplate the blade of grass, the growing leaf, or the solar system to see that Spirit, who has created me, has shaped and arranged all things to prosper and exist in harmony." And so if you will, just take a deep breath. Fill your lungs completely and just breathe in deeply, and then exhale fully. And allow yourself to just nestle into that seat where you're sitting, right where you are. And just let go. Let your body relax. Let your mind relax. And let your heart open. for this moment, and truly for each and every moment. Everything is perfect. In this breath, and the next breath, and the next breath after that, Spirit, God, the Divine, the Holy One is present in our bodies, in the world around us, in all of life and all that we know and all that we see and all that we are unable to see. It is still all that one divine and holy presence, permeating everything with its light, with its love, with its goodness, with its peace, with its beauty, all of that. Right here and right now, we need only open our inner eyes to know the truth of that. And so this morning, I know that that divine and holy presence is in us, as us, and moving through everything that is taking place this morning. I know that Dr. Frank is deeply inspired and moved and speaks forth from a place deep within him, that deep and holy place of divine wisdom and inspiration. And each and every word he says moves into our minds and our hearts and allows us to see that higher and deeper perspective of life. I know that music lifts us higher, as it always, always does. And that each and every musician is filled with that harmony of the divine. I know that all of us gathered here are so grateful and so blessed to be here and so ready and eager to receive what is coming our way. And so knowing that everything is moving in our direction just for us this morning, just for us, the perfect thing, everything we need to know and understand and experience, just for us. And so knowing that that is true and celebrating that truth, I just allow it to be so. And so it is. Amen.
Sitting in silence, watching the ocean, everything flowing together, watching the pelicans diving into the sea. I can't help but think I'm sitting with God, watching the parents and the children, oh, those families, everyone loving one another, listening to laughter. It suddenly hits me. I can't help but think I'm hanging with God. Sure, things can get tough, now you know what I mean, but the sun is still shining and the sea is still green. 'Cause the way that I feel is truly what's real. Life keeps getting better and better and better. Seeing the sunrise peeping over the mountains, another new day comes to greet me. I sit and reflect, good feelings unchecked, content in the knowledge I'm jamming with God. Oh sure, I want more, but who don't? And I don't let it get me down. No, I won't. 'Cause all this is mine. From the sea to the sunshine, life keeps getting better and better. Sitting here singing and strumming my guitar with all of you fine folks before me. Think I'll sing one last note, 'cause that's all that I wrote. I can't help but think I'm singing with God.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good morning, beloveds. It's so good to see all of you. It's been weeks since I spoke, because Terry and I are moving, as all, I'm sure all of you know by now. It seems like forever to me. I'm sure for some of you it doesn't seem long enough, but that's okay too. Our seed of awakening for this month is plenty. And the dictionary describes plenty as an adequate or more than adequate number or amount. An adequate number of what, you might ask? An adequate number of whatever it is that we have manifested. As we began the process of moving, I found that I had to do mindfulness meditations as my body was doing the work, because otherwise my mind goes into weird places. I'm sure it happens to some of you the same way. And so I started really thinking about consciously how the laws of the universe were working through this move that Terry and I are doing, and how that moved out into the larger world and affected everything. Everything that I got rid of, every single one of the things that I got rid of, felt like a burden was lifted off of me. I began to breathe better. It was almost as if I'd been living in a room full of stale air for a long, long time, and all of a sudden fresh air came in. I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but it's really a rather amazing experience. The laws of the universe, and I said laws, there's really only one law, and I'll talk more about that later. Acts in different ways in our lives, depending on how we're applying it. And as I looked at this, this whole situation with our move, I had to look at how had been applying the law and how we were applying the law. And I learned a lot. I also learned a lot about my consciousness. I believe that 3 is the magic number of the universe. It's the sacred number. It's the Holy Trinity. And it's true in many, many things. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Mother, Father, Spirit, Mother, Father, Son, Child, whatever. Physical, mental, and spiritual bodies. And in our consciousness, there's our subconscious, our conscious, and the part we don't usually name, the superconscious, which is that direct connection that we have with the divine when we allow ourselves to. You know, we tend to think in our teaching of God being within us. In fact, if we really study the great mystics and metaphysicians, including Ernest Holmes, God is both within us and around us. We are within God, even more than God is within us. Jesus said, I've come that they may have life and they may have it more abundantly. By this, I think he meant that we have to awaken our superconscious. We have to awaken that part of us that is the superconsciousness, so that we can move out of the conscious mind what Holmes calls the mortal mind or the carnal mind, that mind that dwells always in the duality of the physical world, move out of that into the superconsciousness so that we can begin manifesting those things that we want, that plenty that we're looking for. To me, manifesting our superconsciousness, opening to our superconsciousness, awakening to it, is really the whole enchilada. Or as Eckhart Tolle said, all manifestation comes when you realize that it's the icing, that it is the manifestations, is the icing on the cake. Presence is the cake. I must be hungry. I keep using food metaphors. I don't know. The presence of the I am that spoke to Moses in the desert is the same I am that speaks through us, that acts through us, and that thinks through us when we allow ourselves to do it. Jesus also said, do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father in me? You're going to have to excuse me. If I sometimes look like I'm scrunching up my face and look angry, it's because I have progressive lenses and it's really hard for me to see the paper as it's laying here in front of me. So I have to do that. So please forgive me. Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells within me. Whether we call this universal mind, Abba, the Father, God, the I am, or as Timber did last week, the Hashem, which literally means the name, it really doesn't matter. We are in it and it is in us. That's its nature. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that everybody on this call right now is human. Call me crazy, but and because we're human, we walk, we don't fly. We have arms and legs. We don't have wings and legs. That is our nature. You could say it is the law of our being that we walk, we don't fly. In the same way, the divine has a law of its own being. And it can only operate through the law of its own being. And that law is the law of cause and effect operating through its creation, because it's the only way it can affect the physical world. See, my mind was doing all kinds of weird things to me while I was doing all this work. The only source of plenty in the universe is the divine. It's not your job. It's not your social security check. It's not your unemployment. The only source of plenty is the divine. Only the divine. And it operates through each of us. That is its divine nature. That is the law of its being. So we can call it the divine law, but that is the law of its being. It's been said that money is the greatest source of unhappiness in the world, because either people don't have enough money to live on, or they're living to have more than enough. Either way, they're unhappy. And either way, they've focused on the manifestation of what they think they need instead of the source, which is spirit. A lot of us, and I've done it myself, are more than willing to take credit for all the good we've manifested, for the plenty of good we've manifested in our lives. But we're not willing to take the blame for the plenty of the negatives that we've manifested in our lives. It's like, I'm gonna use a political example, but please understand, I'm just using it as an example. I'm not inferring any criticism of anybody, but there are politicians right now in the country who are saying, let's get back to the Trump economy, as if somehow he alone is responsible for the economy. If that is true, then we must also say he alone is responsible for the degree to which the pandemic has affected our country. There are also politicians who are blaming him for the degree of the pandemic, but give no credit to anything he may have done to create our economy. Either way, they're wrong. Because this isn't about the president. This is about what we all do in our own lives and what we all do about everybody else. We take credit for the manifestation of good, for the plenty of good in our lives, and we deny responsibility for the negative plenty in our lives, don't we? And either way, we're failing to take complete responsibility for ourselves. Why would we do that? Because it allows us to be victims. It allows us to be victims of our own thinking, but we get to blame it on somebody else. Whether we manifest plenty or we manifest lack, there is no this, not that. Okay? No this, not that. In the same way that I have to take responsibility for manifesting my good, I have to take responsibility for now being in a position of having manifested the negative in my life. Recently, I was on a panel discussion with past presidents of the affiliated New Thought Network. And during that presentation, Terry and my good friend, Gene Sweet from Reverend Gene Sweet from Helena, Montana, pointed out that New Thought is responsible for the strength of the manifestations that happen in our society. But if we say that, then we also have to acknowledge that we are also responsible for the pollution that came about as a result of all of that stuff that we have manifested in our lives. Taking credit for one means taking credit for all. I may hate it and sometimes even hate myself for it, but there it is. It's mine. So that's one way I see the law of cause and effect operating through this whole experience that Terry and I are having. Another way I see the law of cause and effect operating is as what is known as the law of circulation, or the law of giving and receiving, operating through this experience. Deepak Chopra teaches that the key to plenty is letting go. By clinging to our belongings, we had restricted the flow of plenty in our lives. In fact, in the last few years, we've noticed a marked decrease in the plenty that we had in our lives. We've owned our home for, over 28 years now, almost 30 years. And in that time, we have really been blessed. We've really been blessed with a lot of manifestations, or as Holmes calls it, stuff. We've really been blessed with a lot of stuff. Bags of stuff, boxes of stuff, rooms of stuff, garages of stuff. And so one of the things that we both discovered is that in order to open ourselves back up again to the flow of plenty, we had to get rid of stuff. Okay, so we donated between 350 and 400 books to a local bookstore, said, no thanks, we don't want any book credit. That just means getting more books. We still have about the same amount, 350 to 400 that we gave away. We gave away just boxes and thousands of dollars worth of possessions to our favorite charity, just to open up the flow of plenty in our lives. And I'm keeping a small amount to sell on eBay at some point in time. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, part of the law of circulation is letting go. And we had to let go of all kinds of stuff. And that happened before we moved. So in a sense, moving was a really good thing. But what we were clinging to all that time is what was restricting our manifestation of plenty in our lives. Can you understand that? We all do that to one degree or another. Not all of us are as bad as us, but you know, I had a great aunt who was a real hoarder, a true hoarder. I understand what real hoarding means. Having to step over the newspaper stacked up the stairs to her second floor apartment, and going through her belongings after she made her transition and finding her parrot stuffed and finding the skin from her collie because she couldn't bring herself to let go of it. You know, those kinds of things. That's what a real hoarder does. And we're not quite in that ballpark, although I will admit the ashes for our pets are all on that property. The thing is that we have to be able to let go in order to receive. Matthew Fox wrote, in order to pick something up, we have to let go of something else. And that's what Terry and I have been practicing as we've gone through this whole thing. And another part of the law of circulation that's really important is gratitude. We needed not only to give away, but to be grateful for having had it in the first place for all those years, and to be grateful for letting it go so that we could open up to a new and more wonderful demonstration, manifestation of plenty in our lives. So one of the things that we did was that we discovered a meditation based on a Neville Goddard reading that contains the line, goes like this: isn't it wonderful? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we would do that, and then we both laughed because it felt so good. So I want them to do an experiment. Well, let's try that right now. Well, you don't have to turn on your camera, but turn on your microphones just for a moment. Unmute yourself. Okay. Once you've all unmuted.
Okay.
Mute yourself. We're going to say it together. Ready? Here we go. Isn't it wonderful?
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's do more feel. Isn't it wonderful?
Isn't it wonderful?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
How did that feel? You just run it through. It's great. I love it. Okay, you can mute yourself again.
Okay.
The third way that I saw the law of effect working in this whole process that Terry and I are going through was through what is called the law of intention and attention. This is what Deepak Chopra calls it, the law of intention and attention. Our consciousness exists in the field of infinite possibilities, that field of the divine I am. Literally anything is possible in this field, but it's only possible if we set our intention to manifest from that field and then pay attention to that and that alone. See, we talk about manifestation as if it's free. It isn't. We have to pay attention. And that's how it unfolds for us. When we set an intention, first we must have a really clear idea of what we desire, what we want. Ernest Holmes said that this is the law of mental equivalence. Many of us try to specify exactly what it is we want. X number of dollars, or a new Cadillac, or a cruise, or a relationship with a specific person, or health coming to us in a specific way through a specific treatment from a specific doctor, etc. When what we really need to do is to set an intention for the feeling that's associated with what it is that we're seeking. For example, let's say we want a new car. Manifesting a specific car is probably not going to happen. What will happen is the perfect car will manifest for us, and it will manifest for us by focusing on how it's going to feel when we get into it. Is it going to feel safe and secure? Is it going to feel like it's really practical and we can use it for a lot of things? Or maybe it's going to feel like when we drive it, it'll hug the road and we'll feel so powerful and so much in control. It's all about what we desire to feel from what we're manifesting in our lives to really, really manifest our plenty. And once we've set our intention in that way, then we have to pay attention to how we're thinking about the intention. Let me tell you what I mean by that. All too often, we set an intention, and we may set it every morning, and then spend the rest of the day looking at all the ways in which it can't manifest. Okay? This is especially true with people that have physical conditions. We set an intention for our manifestation, and then we spend the rest of the day looking at all the things online that tell us how horrible this condition is. Or we look at manifesting our good in the form of, and plenty in the form of good and plenty. See, another food metaphor. In the form of money, and then we spend time looking at the economy and the number of people unemployed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have to pay attention constantly to how our conscious mind is dealing with that intention. Only through both intention and attention can the I Am work through us, for us. So Terry and I are going through all these changes in our lives, giving up our home that we've lived in for almost 30 years and loved so much, and moving into a smaller, much more confining home because it doesn't have the property. But being okay with that because it has significantly padded our retirement fund. That's the choice we made. But we're still in the process of letting go of all of those feelings and being okay with it. It isn't easy to do that, but it's necessary to do that because the law of cause and effect, operating as what Holmes called the law of correspondence, teaches us that we have to have the feeling of what we want to manifest. In other words, we can't manifest joy from sorrow. We can't manifest abundance from lack. We can't manifest plenty from a consciousness of need. We can't manifest health from a consciousness of illness, because the very need that we are expressing in that will manifest as lack in our lives. We have to find the good in the present situation, no matter what it may be. I mean, come on. Even being so broke you have to eat at McDonald's has health benefits because it guarantees you won't live to die at an old age. This is literally the meaning of the old biblical hard saying, those that have shall get, those that do not have, even that which they have, they shall lose. Manifestation always comes from the feeling that we already hold that thing, that we already possess it, and we already feel the plenty coming into our lives. These are the lessons that I've been learning all over again. And it really irritates me, frankly, that I have to learn them over again and again and again and again and again. And every time it's like the cosmic 2x4 hits me harder to remind me of what I need to remember. Because I felt like I've dealt with them, but they keep coming back. But that's how the law works in our lives. That's how, yeah, exactly. Going around in circles. We always manifest the direct reflection of our own consciousness. That is the law of the I Am nature. So in the same way that Terry and I are having to really watch the law play out in our world, in our personal world, then we also can see how it plays out in the world we live in. Whether it's our thoughts about the pandemic or about the elections and their outcomes, whether it's our thoughts about the economy and what's going on in the economy, our role in this as metaphysicians is really clear. If we want to manifest a positive outcome, one that works for all and harms none, there are steps that we must take for that to manifest. And some of them you're going to hate. just like we have hated some of the things that we have had to do consciously to get back into consciousness around this move from our house. First, we have to admit that this is the law of cause and effect in action, every bit of it. Our collective consciousness, the sum total of everything we have thought, has created all of what we're wallowing in right now. This cesspool of consciousness that we're wallowing in. As my dad used to say, we got a mell of a hess. A mell of a hess. We have to take responsibility for our part in creating it without denial. If we can't pretend we have no responsibility, then we can't pretend it's affecting us. But it is affecting us. And so we must take responsibility for it. There's no two ways about it. Secondly, we have to let go of our attachment to the outcome of the pandemic, of the economic problems, and of the election. We have to let go. We all have emotional and mental ties to one result or another, but that's not our business. Our business is to set the intention for the highest and best for all, and then to rest in that, to stay in that, to pay attention to that. See, that's what I meant before when I said we have to pay to have our intention manifest. The payment is our attention that we keep focused on, not the world of effect, not the duality around us, but the super consciousness, the higher consciousness of truth that we all rest in. And this can only happen when we let go of our need for a specific outcome and simply accept the highest and best for all sentient beings, whatever that may be. And you don't get to judge who is and who isn't a sentient being based on how they vote in the election. We're all sentient beings, and we all have an impact on what is unfolding. No snarkiness allowed. Lastly, once we've set the intention and attention and the best for all, for the highest and best for all sentient beings, we have to use our attention to hold it. Because only when we're aligned with the divine, with the universe, can it manifest for us. As metaphysicians, that's our job, like it or not. Every time a thought or a word that is judgmental or negative goes through our heads, we have to consciously catch it and let it go. Don't let it pass through your lips. Don't let it pass through your thoughts. Because all are guaranteed to bring about a result we don't really want. But we're manifesting because we thought it into experience and aren't paying attention to what we've said and done. Whether we manifest lack, plenty of lack, or plenty of good, plenty of sickness or plenty of healing, plenty of good governance or plenty of turmoil, it's all up to us. We have 92 days left to this election. And as the campaigns ratchet up, both of them, there's going to be more and more negative stuff thrown around. And we get to decide. Do we join them in blaming other people, in living in fear and loathing for those we disagree with? Do we continue to read and watch the latest polls and the pandemic data? Or do we allow God, the I am of the universe, to work through us and through the laws of its nature to manifest the best for everyone? That's the only real choice we have, whether we like it or not. It's on us, beloveds. It's our responsibility. But if it's our responsibility, it also means it's ours to control. We were never victims of the pandemic or the economy or the election. We have always been, as President Bush said, the deciders. And we have decided at this moment, one way or the other. We are the channels for the Creator. We get to decide how it flows through us. Isn't it wonderful? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste, beloveds.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, drifting for hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away under your covers. Go away somewhere all bright and new. I see no other who shines just like you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, drifting for hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, be your own lover. Run away, you ought to be a guide. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong in that home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me, far away from trouble and worry. You belong somewhere you'll be free. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, drifting for hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong somewhere you feel free.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Frank, for a wonderful, a wonderful talk this morning. I felt like I knew exactly what you were talking about. I don't know. I don't know. Exactly. Thanks also to Jim Townsend and to Karen Wilkins and to Delon Richenberg and to Steve Kendall. Music was fabulous this morning, absolutely wonderful, never fails to lift us higher and take us deeper. Thank you for that. Special thank you and shout out to Ron Gallagher, who is ever present behind the scenes, but we wouldn't be here and this would not run smoothly without Ron. So Ron, you're always in our gratitude and in our prayers. Thank you for all that you do. A reminder to all of us, really, that this beautiful spiritual community, while this is so convenient sitting in your living room or bedroom or wherever you are receiving this, as a community, we still have bills to pay. We still have the office. We still have rent to pay on the office. We still have our regular bills ongoing. And so any contributions, any love offerings, any tithings that you can send our way are greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you so much for supporting us throughout everything that's been going on. We greatly appreciate it and value that. Just a reminder, Dr. Frank shared the Neville affirmation. Isn't it wonderful? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm telling you, you will find yourself saying this over and over and over during the day, and you will start smiling in spite of yourself because it just works. That's all I can say. It is wonderful. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Frank and I are, because we are kind of dipping into Neville now. I know Delon Richenberg shared recently that he was reading a Neville book as well. Maybe many of you are. We're thinking about starting a Zoom class on one of Neville's books. If you don't know about Neville, I won't take the time to talk about him now, but he's an old thought metaphysician with a unique perspective on manifestation. And so this is a good time for us to kind of be looking at that. And so we're looking into choosing a Neville book that we can offer as a Zoom class online, kind of a short little, maybe 3 or 4 weeks at the most, opportunity for people to get together and to read and to stay in consciousness and talk about Neville's wonderful ideas. So stay tuned. Next week we will have honed down the book that we're going to be using and kind of have more information for you next week. A reminder also that prayers, oh my gosh, prayers are ongoing. They never cease. They are always happening. The soul support team is always doing their best. And I know the Power of 8 group is also doing the work as well. If you have something going on in your life that you need prayer support for, please just send us an email to awakeningways@thegrid.net. In the subject line, just say prayer or prayer request, and it will get picked up and passed on to the soul support team, and we'll pray for you for the week. And we continue to have remarkable demonstrations because it's the power of prayer. It's the power of prayer. So if there's something we can help you with, just send us a request. Also, you know, we have these gatherings here on Sunday, and we're all here to see them. And then we say they're available on YouTube. Usually they're available like maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. They're available online by the time Ron is able to edit them and Frank is able to get them onto YouTube. But then people are having difficulty accessing the videos on YouTube. So I'm going to just tell you how to do that, but also understand that we're going to be sending out an email blast that's going to say as a subject line, YouTube directions, so that you will know how to get onto YouTube and see any of the talks from before. But well, I was going to tell you how to do it, but well, so I have a little cheat sheet, but what you do is you Google YouTube. Okay, so you go to your homepage and you Google YouTube. You'll end up on youtube.com, and then youtube.com, which is its own website, has a little search line up at the top. You type in Awakening Ways Spiritual Community, and click on that, and you will find either our logo, or you will find an orange dot with the letter A, a large orange dot, and or our logo. Click on the logo, and when you click on the logo, it will eliminate anything that's not Awakening Ways. So when you click on the logo, you will only see the Awakening Ways talks, anything that's happened here at Awakening Ways. So Frank will be sending out the directions so that you have access to those, because there were some fabulous speakers last week, and I know you might want to touch in on them. And we've been doing these Zooms now for some time. So look for that in your email. And other than thank you for your patience, and thank you for your prayers as Frank and I go through this wonderful, heartbreaking, difficult, freeing, all of those kinds of words that describe what moving is. As we go through this, thank you for your heartfelt prayers, for your loving support, and for allowing us the flexibility to make this happen. We're truly grateful. And so with that, I'd like to leave you with a little blessing. Each and every moment of each and every day, may you feel yourself surrounded and immersed in the all good, in the overflowing abundance of the universe. And may you fully embrace and experience the plentiful abundance that is ever available right where you are. So let it be. And so it is. Namaste. See you next week. And if you like, just sit still and click on your mics and you can check in with people online here. See you next week.